Hello everyone. I'm here in Manzanillo Fajardo who will be discussing about the multidisciplinary approach in special education. For this time, we will be discussing the multidisciplinary approach using the concept of Principal Jitender Kumar in his research multidisciplinary approach for inclusive education. Sir, I hope I pronounced your name correct. Once again, sir, my deepest gratitude for sharing your research. It is indeed a very good information for inclusive education. Once again, sir, my deepest gratitude. As you can see in the diagram of Kumar, in multidisciplinary approach, the center is the children with special needs. And under the community of children with special needs, the economic, home and hospital instruction, special education teacher services, and so on are very much needed. Then, under this, culture and public policy should be considered for this multidisciplinary approach for children with special needs. Moving on, Kumar. When you say multidisciplinary approach, it involves drawing appropriately from multiple disciplines to redefine problems outside the normal boundaries and reach solutions based on a new understanding of complex solutions. As you can see a while ago in the illustration, what's surrounding the child in the community are from different disciplines. Different disciplines, but they help each other for a common goal for children with disabilities. So what are needed to be considered in multidisciplinary approach? First, the staff will have to share knowledge and expertise and also to learn new skill and fresh approaches. Sometimes a number of professionals have direct input or provide advice and support. There is a need for training, which will give staff and confidence and satisfaction. And the last one, possible change in expectations and in working system, which can be a valuable stimulus challenge to adults. Multidisciplinary approach is required to overcome system barriers. And what are the examples of system barriers? Those are the lack of basic and appropriate materials, the exclusionary practices and policies, etc. Another one is the societal barriers. Example of this are the lack of safety and security, crime and violence, the poverty, child-headed households, etc. Next is the what we call as the intrinsic barriers, and those are the behavioral problems, the psychosocial problems, the emotional problems, and so on and so forth. And the last one, to overcome the pedagogical barrier. And what are those pedagogical barrier? Examples are the underqualified teachers, inappropriate teaching methodologies, and inappropriate assessment procedures, etc. What are the needs of multidisciplinary approach? As you can see in the diagram, the first one is what we call as skill training. This is very much needed in multidisciplinary approach because this is one of the strategies to equip the staff and other personnel in their assigned tasks for the benefits of the learners and to the families served. Next is what we call as health services. Next, to sort out the health problems of children with disabilities, there is a need of health services. Example, availability of doctors on time, speech therapists, physiotherapists, and special care facilities at school like medical room, restroom, etc. So these health services must be known to the community for the betterment of children with special needs. Next is what we call as social services. It is also very much needed in multidisciplinary approach of inclusive education. In here, all personnel handling the child must know the different approaches on how to develop the social skill of children with special needs. In classroom setup, we do have the peer tutoring and cooperative learning. Why do we have to develop the social skill of children with special needs? It's because some of them do have social problems. Or some children don't have the adequate social skills. Others possess the skills but do not use them at appropriate times, and some have a self-control problem. With this, social services are very much needed to develop the social skill of the said children. Moving on, in multidisciplinary approach, we do also need assistive and support devices. For what purpose? Why do we doing assistive and support devices? Of course, to help children with special needs in their adjustment in the school and in society. And of course, for them to do their routine activities and for benefiting from educational opportunities in a better way. Example of this, for the blind, we do give the laser cane. For physically crippled, the wheelchair. And for those who have hard hearing, hearing aids must be given to them. In the other countries, these are given for free for children with special needs. So support services would include accommodations like availability and upgrading of aids and assistive devices according to individual needs, technological support in the form of augmentative and alternative communication tools. This is one of the examples of communication board that an inclusive education must have. Another is this one. Use of the audiovisual material. This is also included in assistive technology for children with special needs. Another universal design for school buildings, the classrooms, the transport support facility, the furniture and fixtures, the resource room support. These all must be present for the welfare of children with special needs. Moving on, therapeutic support, textbook in accessible format, the ICT support, and of course, the vocational education and training must be provided for children with special needs. Now, we teachers cannot do all of this. Therefore, dito po papasok ang collaboration and linkages to local government unit, to NGOs, private institutions, etc. Next is the teaching, learning strategies, and classroom management. In here, variety of learning techniques should be used in facilitating learners' learning. And it is our problem now that learners are at home. Parents do not know more of those teaching strategies because they are not trained for that. So under this, different teaching learning strategies should be used in inclusive setup. Another is that, these are the following examples. In dealing with children with special needs, reciprocal teaching must be there, task analysis must be there, and so on and so forth. 6 is that we have the multisensory approach. Nowadays, we are facing this one. In some places, they're only relying on module or to the print media. And this is very hard for early graders, especially if no one is guiding them at home. So multisensory approach is required to incorporate 3 qualities of universal design when planning instruction. And what are those universal design? We have the multiple means of representing content, visual and oral strategies. We must have the multiple means of the student's expression of content, writing, illustrating, and speaking. And the third one, we need to have the flexible needs of engagement as the students learn video, software, and role-playing. So this is about the multisensory approach. For the children to learn more in an effective way, we need to use this one for them, the multisensory approach. Next is that the environmental approach. It says in here that architectural barriers in schools will have to be removed for easy access and promote inclusion of children with special needs. The classroom environment may be modified by making the room soundproof, carpeting of windows, enclosed cupboards and book racks, limited use of bulletin boards, etc. So efforts should be taken to provide all kinds of disabled-friendly facilities in schools and educational institutions. If teachers will shoulder this all, definitely they cannot. So what they do is to collaborate and build some linkages to the other institutions. Another, we do need economical approach for children with special needs. This is to cater the diverse need of heterogeneous group of students and to implement special support for learners. This is to cater the diverse need of heterogeneous group of students and to implement special support for learners. There is a need of economic support during the education and after the education for the establishment of children with special needs in society. Yes, of course, because transition program for them would be useless if there will be no working institution that accept them. Transitional program would be useless if we could not provide them work for them to survive for their daily living. So that is about economic approach. And how about the home and hospitalized based institution or instruction? So in here, students may require home-based education or hospitalized based instructions. This should be known by the public, by the community, especially for those who have children with special needs, so that even if they are at the hospital or even if they cannot go to school for education, they can still study or they can still have education for the betterment of their future. Next is that the special education services. In here, a special educator can benefit in curricular adaptation and modifications, research-based literacy intervention, and the development and implementation of positive behavioral supports. And how about transdisciplinary team? Transdisciplinary team is a group of professionals, the family members, the student, the teacher, the special educator, the NGO, the physiotherapists, the nurse, the community service providers, or medical specialists. They are the members of the transdisciplinary team in which their action is very much needed for the welfare of the children with special needs. So the question in here is, what does multidisciplinary approach is telling us? This one is telling us that for creating an inclusive school, single approach is not possible. Therefore, once again, in dealing for the welfare of children with special needs, we need the multidisciplinary approach.